Beloved friends, today is the fourth Sunday of Easter, which is traditionally celebrated as the Good Shepherd Sunday. Now, a few years ago, I was speaking with one of my former parishioners who had left the church and drifted from the faith for a very long time. And I must say, what happens to him was not just or really out of rebellion, but I think it was out of confusion. He told me, Father, I don't know whom to trust anymore. Every voice today claims to be right. And I must confess, that statement struck me deeply because that is not just his struggle, but the struggle of so many people in our world. Today, there are too many voices, too many claims, and very little clarity about who is actually leading us through life. For instance, the current media landscape is heavily saturated with conflicting information, where social media algorithms prioritize emotion over accuracy, often making it difficult to distinguish genuine guidance from noise. Although everyone wants to be informed and everyone tries to pursue what leads to life, very few people are actually informed anymore. Sometimes people decide on what to believe without any patience or reference to context, history, or the full story. Now, that is exactly where today's readings speak with force. As the Good Shepherd Sunday, today's celebration focuses on Jesus as the shepherd and gate who guides, feeds, protects, and leads to life, leading people through him while offering comfort and direction. In John's Gospel, chapter 10 today, Jesus says, I am the good shepherd, I am the gate. Thus, he illuminated a core aspect of his own identity and relationship with God and others, especially his followers. The image of the shepherd gate addresses the idea of seeing and hearing and their connection to leadership. Thus, Jesus is not just one voice among many, but the voice and the way. And he contrasts himself with thieves and robbers who promise life but quietly drain it at the same time. Have you ever imagined that if it were in today's world that Jesus was saying this, perhaps he would be talking about politicians? This is because political leadership today is so noisy. We are in a time where visibility is mistaken for value and opinions are confused for insight. Now, but the truth is this: the world does not need more voices, but someone whose presence is felt and whose words move people to action, not applause. That is exactly what the Good Shepherd does. His voice wields clarity, gives direction, and his physical presence does not distort progress, but sustains it. In the first reading from the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 2, Peter stands up and speaks with clarity, saying, God has made this Jesus, whom you crucified, both Lord and Christ. And the people are caught to the heart because for the first time they recognize they have been listening to the wrong voices. Now that they can see and hear something profound and clear, their response is urgent. What must we do? And Peter doesn't give them a vague answer. Instead, he boldly says, repent, be baptized, realign your life under the true shepherd. This moment is essentially the birth of the early church, where conviction leads to immediate action, resulting in the baptism of thousands and the total realignment of their lives under the lordship of Jesus Christ. Now, the second reading from the first letter of Peter today deepens this same message as it says, you have gone astray like sheep, but you've now returned to the shepherd and guardian of your souls. Now, I like that phrase, you've now returned. That means being lost is not just about ignorance, it's about misdirection. In other words, you can be sincere and still follow the wrong path. Today, many people are not lost because they lack knowledge. They are lost because they keep entertaining voices they already know are not from Christ. Moreover, knowing a voice isn't from Christ is one thing, but having the discipline or the peace to stop entertaining it is another. Notice that if the background noise around us is loud, the still small voice becomes impossible to discern. In fact, it takes a conscious eviction of those familiar voices to hear the one that actually leads home. That is why Jesus is blunt. When he warns against those voices, he says, The thief comes only to steal and destroy. I come that they may have life and have it abundantly. This is where the Good Shepherd Sunday becomes very concrete. Many of us like the gentle and compassionate Jesus, but let's not forget, he is also decisive. As you probably know, a shepherd doesn't negotiate with wolves. Rather, he leads, protects, and sometimes corrects. Thus, if we reduce Jesus to a comforting shepherd, we miss his authority, and that authority is very crucial. So the challenge on this Good Shepherd Sunday is this: whose voice is actually shaping your decisions right now? When you are stressed, when you are hurt, when you are making choices about your body, about others, and about your future, whose voice do you obey? Beloved friends, let's make no mistake. Following Christ is not just believing in him as it is, learning every day to recognize his voice above all the noise, and then having the courage to follow it even when it leads somewhere uncomfortable. Remember, his promise is clear. If you follow the Good Shepherd, you will find life, even when it is not an easy life. It will be full, real, and rooted in eternity. May God bless you.